Okay, in this video I'm going to show you how you can create a new project, take some code from CodeHS, run it in the emulator, and make some little tweaks. Again, in my environment I'm using a MacBook Pro, and I'm going to be running this on an iOS emulator. So first of all, this is my welcome screen. Like I mentioned in previous videos, if you don't want this, you can just click the check mark to make it go away on the startup. I like it, so I leave it there. I'm going to close it out though because I don't need it for right now. You'll see that the screen looks pretty basic. We have some tabs on the side. These are all different based on different extensions you may have ordered or installed. So if you go under Terminal, we can say New Terminal, and then this brings up a coding window for where we can type. Now we need to make sure that we are in the directory for where we want to create the project. Now I've created a folder called React Native 2021, and that's where I'm keeping all my projects. So I'm going to cd into this directory. So I'm going to say React Native 2021. Now okay, so right there I'm not seeing this directory. So since I didn't see it, I must have made a typo. So I'm going to do ls, and the ls command will list out my directories that I have. And it looks like the React Native one I was looking for, I did not put an underscore in between the two words. So now that I know what I want, I'm going to cd into that directory, and now I'm in there. And I can tell I'm in there because it says React Native before it says sdena. Now if I do ls, I will see what I have within my React Native folder, and I can see that I have these couple apps. These are apps that I've made, whether it's for practice or helping a student or whatever. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a quick app, and it's going to be the one where we made the iPhone emulator one. So I'm going to make a new project. So when you want to make a new project, again, we need to be in the folder where we want the app to be located, and for me, that's this folder, so I'm in the right place. To make a new app, you say React-Native, use the init command to initialize a new project, and then you give it whatever name you want it to be. The name you give it will be the name of the folder. And I'm just going to call this iPhone Simulator. And then we're going to see all of this stuff. It's going to do its thing. It's basically building the package, all of the code that we need to work within this project. All right, I'm going to pause while this finishes. Okay, so as you can see, I have had a lot of instructions that I've scrolled through, and you're going to see all kinds of interesting things here. You'll see a bunch of warnings for deprecated commands. You'll see people saying they're looking for a job, you know, coding humor. And then we'll get down here at the very end, and this is how we know that we are done. Now, because I'm on a Mac, I need CocoaPods. That is something that Macs use that Windows do not. So if you're on a Windows machine, you wouldn't see this. Now we're going to see the instructions of how to run our code. And on my machine right now, like I said, I'm going to use this under iOS. My Android scenario is still not working properly on this computer. I haven't had a chance to get the emulator fully set up. So I'm just going to demo within iOS. So now that I've created the package, if I were to do another ls command within this directory, there we go, I can now see that I have all of the same folders I had before, plus I have this new folder, this new app that I've made. All right, so I'm going to minimize this window, and I want to go ahead and open up this project. So I'm going to go to my top menu, and I'm going to say open, and I'm going to browse to this folder. For me, it's my first folder I always go to, so that's why it's up there. And then iPhone Simulator, open, and then now we're going to see all of this code that's created. And this starter code is going to look the same for every app you create. Now, the file that we want to open up to edit is the one that's called app.js. There's lots of other files in here. For right now, you don't need to know what they do. You can obviously watch more videos and tutorials to learn more about them, but for right now, we just don't need to know about them. Okay, so this right here is, like I said, the starting code they give us, and I'm just going to show you what happens when I run this code. So if I bring my terminal back up, get that guy back down. Where'd he go? Okay. When I want to run it, I can say React-Native and then run-iOS. If my Android was working, I would say run-Android. And so what's going to happen now is it's launching my emulator. Bring this over here into the window. And again, we're going to get a whole bunch of different information. I'm going to pause the video while it runs through the screens. What you'll see here is now I've finished everything that's been loading. We can see, if we take a look, that the app finished building. It built the app. It loaded it to the simulator. All right, so here's my simulator here. Now, again, when you're looking at this, you might see all of this text and wonder, where the heck did all this stuff come from? Well, if we take a look at the app.js file that we see right here, we can see some of this text here. So right here, for example, it says step 1. Let's say I were to write this in all caps and say step 1, and then do a Control-S to save. Now over here, that has changed. So as we can see, the emulator is immediate. It changes right away. Okay, well that's great, but this isn't the app that I want. I want to actually take some code from CodeHS. So I'm going to click into a Chrome tab, and I'm going to go, where's the one I wanted? This guy right here. I'm going to take the code from this exercise that we had, and I'm going to come, so I copied all the code, I'm going to come back to Visual Studio, and I'm going to select all this and just paste it in here. Now, one thing you'll notice is that when I hit save, I'm going to see an error. And on the bottom it says undefined, unable to resolve module expo constants. This constant right here is something that CodeHS uses that does not make sense within React Native. So whenever you take code straight from CodeHS and copy and paste in here, you're going to have to cut this line out. All right, so now I'm going to resave it. And now I can see that my app loaded. Now I'm noticing that this emulator is a little different from the emulator I had on screen before. So I'm going to need to play around with these fonts a little bit because right now that font size is too large. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to, let me just readjust my window a little bit so I can see both at the same time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to my styles and I'm going to go down to the style I used for the nav button text, and that was this guy right here. So let's say I made it a little bit smaller and tried saving. And I can see it got smaller but still not small enough, and let's say I made it divided by 60 and tried saving, and now I can see that that did the job. So as you can see, the code that we had from CodeHS works just fine in here. You will notice that there are some things that CodeHS was very forgiving about that this environment will not be. And it will tell you, it will say this does not work, you need to fix this. Another thing that's nice is we have code completion. So like for example, let's say I started typing here, oops, all caps, align items, and then it'll give me the options that I have. So this is going to really help you start learning other options that are available to you and also help make your typing a little faster. The one downside for many people is that you don't have the drag and drop of the components. So you might find that it's helpful to do a little bit of both. Maybe set up your layout in CodeHS with the drag and drop, and then come over here and use this for your styling. Again, you do what works for you. Okay? All right, so that is all that I wanted to show you today. Thank you, and hopefully this was helpful.